Hi, in this video we want to see how do computers talk to each other and talk about bit and byte that we hear about a lot. People talk in different languages like English or Spanish and so on, and these languages can be broken down to words and syllables. But what does language of computers consist of? Stay with us in this video to learn about these concepts. We know computers are made of some electronic parts like CPU or wires, but how can electricity transfer or show information? To understand this better, we can look at an old example. In the past, people used lighthouses to transmit messages to ships in the sea. For instance, they would make the lighthouses on and off in a certain way to warn the ships to stay away, or do it in another pattern to attract the ships towards them. Transmitting information using electricity is kind of similar. Only instead of a light, we have electricity. So if electricity is flowing in the wire, we say it is on, and if it doesn't, we say it's off. Or we can say it's 1 or 0. And by sending different patterns of 1s and 0s, we can transmit different information. For instance, let's see how we can send different numbers. 1 and 0 is easy, but how does the rest of the numbers work? Well, we know the system of numbers we use is decimal, meaning it is base 10. So we can show any number we want if we just stick some of these numbers together. And the way we would read that is that we multiply the first number by 1, the second number by 10, and the third number by 100, and so on. And then add them together. If you notice, the number we are multiplying by is 10 to the power of number of the position minus 1. So the first is 10 to the power of 0, the second is 10 to the power of 1, and the third is 10 to the power of 2. So actually showing numbers using 1s and 0s works the same way. It's called binary or base 2. And you just put the numbers side by side, and the way you read it is that you multiply the first number by 1, the second by 2, and the third by 4. So 2 to the power of 0, 2 to the power of 1, and 2 to the power of 2. Then we add them together. So if we have 3 wires, we can show more numbers. For instance, here we are showing 101, which equals 5. And if we have 32 wires, we can show a number bigger than 4 billion. But in a computer, we don't really have wires. We have transistors. Transistors can store information. Basically, they're like a battery that can store some electricity. If it's empty, we say it's storing 0, and if it's full, we say it's storing 1. This way, if we have a lot of these transistors, we can store different information. If you want to know more about transistors, you can watch this video. So far we realized that bits are like tiny boxes that can have or don't have electricity in them. And they show 0s or 1. Now if we have 8 bits side by side, we call that a byte. So a byte is simply 8 bits. Now let's see what kind of information can we transmit using different number of bits. Well, if we have 1, we can only show yes or no, or on or off, or 0 and 1. If we have 8 bits, or a byte, we can show a character, or a letter of the alphabet. If we have 2 to the power of 10, or 1024 bytes, which is called a kilobyte, we can show a paragraph. With almost 1 million bytes, which is called a megabyte, we can store a 1-minute song. With a gigabyte, which is almost 1 billion bytes, we can show a 30 minutes video. And with a terabyte, which is more than 1 trillion bytes, we can store more than 200 movies. In this video, we talked about bits and bytes, and we got to know the smallest units of information. If this video was helpful to you, like and subscribe and hit the notification button so you not miss out on new videos.